What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Mother Effin' Bulls on the mic 1-2.
And guys, we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be recapping Week 13, getting near the end of the NFL 2022 season. This was an exciting week. You know, there were a lot of good games, a lot of close games. So we're going to be breaking them down Thursday through Sunday. We will be breaking down Monday on our Power Rankings episode. Hopefully we're able to put that one out. Guys, if you don't follow us on our social media at Cannonballs_podcast, we kind of gave a little bit of an update because there was a issue from the website that we record from in processing. So we weren't able to get that one out, which is kind of a bummer because it was a really great episode. At least I thought it was. I know Jake liked it. You know, we went really in depth in that one. It was, you know, an hour just out the window. So hopefully we can get this one out. Hopefully there's no issue with the processing. But yeah, guys, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Jake, do you have anything to add before we get going?
Just one more thing on the failing of the video. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen every once in a while. So if that happens, we apologize. There's nothing we can do. But speaking of Week 13, I have one word to describe this week: defense.
Yeah.
Holy shit! The defense controlled a lot of these games. But I mean, we can get started with Thursday night, Dane.
Let's get into it.
So, oh shoot. Well, where am I?
Thursday night, we had the Buffalo Bills traveling to Gillette Stadium to play the New England Patriots. Division rivalry. You know, this game's usually pretty good.
Not this one.
Yeah, this one was pretty boring. I mean, we got to see Mac Jones lose his mind at Matt Patricia for play calling. You know, he wanted to throw the ball downfield a little bit more. Probably should have, because they looked pretty good offensively against the Minnesota Vikings. But then when it came to the Buffalo Bills, they pooped their big boy pants. You know, they couldn't really do anything. Mac Jones, 195-1. Ramondre Stevenson, 54 yards rushing. But other than that, the leading receiver was Marcus Jones with 51, 1 touchdown, and 2 targets. It just was not a good offensive performance, in my opinion, from the New England Patriots. Their defense hung in there, but, you know, Josh Allen did Josh Allen things. You know, got it going on the ground with James Cook, Devin Singletary, Josh Allen. Yeah, I mean, this was pretty much domination from the Bills. It wasn't the highest scoring game. A lot of it was defense, like you just alluded to. But, you know, good win for the Bills, kind of put them back in that category of, like, better defensive play, because they had been giving up a lot of yards and a lot of points recently. So I liked what I saw from the Bills defensively.
It was a good game for the Bills. This is just what I've been saying about the Patriots all season long. I kind of just don't like their offense. I don't like their offensive pieces. I don't like their quarterback. I don't like their offensive coordinator. You know, they had flashes like against the Minnesota last week, but other than that game, I don't really think they've had a high offensive output game where they could hang their hat on. So I don't know. They need to get things figured out. There's a reason Matt Patricia isn't a head coach anymore. You know, so I don't know, but good win for the Bills, you know, with a couple of the, how a couple of the different games played out. They're number 1 in the AFC now. So good for them.
Yeah. You know, did you have anything else?
Yeah. And, this is James Cook's coming out party. I was waiting for, you know, it's not much, 14 for 64, but, you know, this is his best game as a rookie so far. So maybe, just maybe, he can be just as good as his brother.
See, I think that he probably has the talent and the intangibles to be as good as his brother Dalvin. The only problem is the offensive scheme from the Bills is, you know, so pass heavy. So I don't know if he's going to have the same opportunities as Dalvin does, because, you know, Minnesota does like to run the ball a little bit more than Buffalo. But yeah, he looked good. He had a couple big runs. You know, he only had 64 yards, like you said, but the runs that he had, it looked good. He looked good running the ball, breaking tackles, had a good burst to him. You know, he looked good. So Bills are right where they should be at 9-3. You know, I think we both kind of project them to be even better than 9-3. But, you know, right in the thick of things. They take the division lead, so good for the Buffalo Bills. You ready to move on to the Sunday slate?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, Dane and I only differed on 2 games, and Dane got every single game except for a tie and an upset right. So, good job this week, Dane.
Yeah, I definitely needed a bounce back after last week. Jake definitely took the reins last week, and Jake still had a good week this week because we only differed on 2 games, really. But it feels good to kind of get back in the win column. Both Jake and I took Buffalo in this game, so that was a good call on our part. All right, let's move on to the next game. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Atlanta to play the Falcons. Is that the next game that you have?
Yes.
And both of us took Pittsburgh, correct?
Yes, we did. And
all right, so 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people didn't take Pittsburgh, but I just liked how they were playing. And you know what? They played pretty good against the Falcons. But the Falcons didn't play that bad either. Honestly, I think they had a chance to win it at the end. And if I remember correctly, did they have a chance to win it at the end?
Yeah, I think they threw a last-minute interception, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of just like, oh, no. Yeah, there's an interception in this game. I don't know. They kind of got Cordell going a little bit more. Drake London had a pretty solid game, 6 for 95. Mariota looked like Mariota. But, I mean, really, I just want to freaking congratulate the Steelers, man. They're back. They're back in the thick of things.
Their backs are against the wall. They can't really lose any more games. They have to win out, and they're kind of proving it. Kenny Pickett looks better. That stiff arm by Najee Harris, though, my goodness, have you seen that? Najee Harris put that man into the ground. That was a adult stiff arm. That was just a grown man putting a little boy in his place. But yeah, Najee Harris got going. Kenny Pickett's, he hasn't thrown really any interceptions. He's been stepping it up. I mean, not the most impressive stat line, 197-1, but he's doing enough. He gets the ball where it needs to go. And Pat Freiermuth actually had a pretty decent game this game. Him and Deontay Johnson, they kind of stepped up when they needed to. George Pickens was pretty non-existent in this game, but Pittsburgh's defense is stepping up. TJ Watt really helps things on that side of the ball. So I like what I'm seeing from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think that they're going to go anywhere in playoffs. If they did randomly make it, I don't think that they'll make it. But if they do, I think they have at least a year before they're, a year or 2 before they're actually able to kind of contend. Talent-wise, I think that they're lacking it a little bit, but we'll see. I like what I'm seeing from the Steelers.
I don't know, man. Freaking with an injury to the Ravens with Lamar, they could easily be the second best team in this division. But we'll see because they're gonna have to go on.
I don't think so because Cincinnati, Cincinnati is balling out.
No, I know. I said second.
Oh, I mean, Baltimore's at what, 8 wins now?
Yeah. We'll get to the Ravens later, but I just don't know where that team goes without Lamar, if I'm being honest. But no, I want to congratulate Kenny Pickett. He looks a lot better. I had my doubts about him at first, but he looks night and day from when he first started playing. So good for him, and good for the Steelers for kind of piecing together some wins. Speaking of the Ravens, our next game, the Baltimore Ravens.
This was the most defensive game I've ever seen.
Yeah, if you like defensive games, go back and watch this. But the Baltimore Ravens beat the Broncos 10-9. Like I said, Lamar Jackson did get hurt, but it was kind of early in the game. So, what's his name? Tyler Huntley? Tyler Huntley. Yeah. Yeah. So, they won with him. He scored their only touchdown.
Yep.
So,
this was the only touchdown of the game. Everything else was field goals.
Oh, shit, it was. God damn, dude. How are the Broncos that freaking bad? Oh, no, but God.
Russell Wilson just I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know if it's the offensive scheme, but this Denver Broncos offense is atrocious. I think the only chance they ever have to score any points is against the Chargers defense. But other than that, they are just bad. 9-10. You know, it was a last minute comeback by the Ravens, so good for them. They came back in the fourth quarter, but you know, it's going to suck. Like you said, losing Lamar is going to be huge because he was basically their main offensive piece. Because they've been dealing with injuries to the wide receiver. Mark Andrews has been dealing with injuries on and off. So it's going to be hard. I don't know where the Ravens go after this. I think their defense is still doing well enough to win games, but we'll see. I mean, it's not every day that Tyler Huntley is going to have to go against the Denver Broncos defense, which is actually really good. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I just don't know if the Broncos, they have a decent defense. I don't think they have a defense where they can just take over a game. I mean, I think they have a defense where they can keep them in the game, you know, create some turnovers, keep it close, but I just don't think they have one of those elite defenses. So it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with them. Because like I said, that team is Lamar, and then everybody else. So we will see. The only good thing about the Broncos, Greg Dulcich, he looked really good, and he was getting wide open. So good for him. I know my brother went to I went to his school with his brother, so yeah, I just wanted to give him a quick shout out.
There you go.
All right.
My line. Stupid.
Just kidding. Yeah, I didn't go to St. Francis. Dane went to St.
Would be me.
All right, let's move on to this next game because this game was boring. Next game, we got Green Bay beating the Chicago Bears. 2019.
Jake and I both predicted. So far, Jake and I were 4 for 4, right?
Yep, 4 for 4. And I mean, two things. Justin Fields is just ridiculous. Like he's a beast. I was really starting to freaking have my doubts about him, but he turned it around and he looks like the high draft pick that he was 2 years ago. Man, he has a freaking arm. He's so freaking fast, dude.
Yeah, I think that's the surprising thing is he's a big dude and he is fast as hell. Like no one can catch him. I think this is 3 games out of the season where he's had over a 50-yard rushing touchdown. I think that's the first time in NFL history that this has ever happened. So Justin Fields is making plays. And, you know, N'Keal Harry had an amazing catch against his helmet for like 50 yards. Throwing a couple more dimes. Unfortunately, he did throw 2 interceptions, but, you know, Justin Fields rushing for 71 yards, had a touchdown. David Montgomery had a touchdown. The Bears were in this game for the most part. Unfortunately, it is Aaron Rodgers, and no matter how bad the Green Bay Packers team is, they're just going to beat Chicago while Aaron Rodgers is there. He owns Chicago, unfortunately. He didn't even have the most amazing stat line, and this Bears defense is pretty bad, in my opinion, and he only threw for 182 yards, 1 touchdown, but A.J. Dillon had a coming-out party as well, you know, 93 on the ground, 1 touchdown.
Finally.
Yep, there he goes. Quadzilla finally got going a little bit. Christian Watson continues to impress. Some of the runs, I mean, this guy is fast as hell, too. He runs like a 4.3 40. You know, him and Aaron are building that connection. Christian Watson he's having a good rookie campaign.
Christian Watson is a freaking monster. He has 7 touchdowns in,
I think,
4 games.
8 and 4 games. Yeah, because he had 2 today. He had a rushing and a receiving touchdown today.
Dude, that's ridiculous. That's more touchdowns than Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a monster. I'm glad I picked him up in fantasy.
Yep. Really quick, I do want to address that. Jake is officially going to the playoffs in our fantasy group for the first time.
First time in our league.
And this is the first time that Jake has swept me. Jake beat me very handily. His team went off today. My team did not. Unfortunately, one of my players, the stack that I had, scored a touchdown, beautiful pass, and then went out with a concussion. Aaron Jones kept having injuries today. You know, he kept wanting to go in and out, so F me. But yeah, Jake's team went off. You know, good for you, man. I'm rooting for you. Hopefully you can take it all the way to win the championship.
Yeah, so I was looking at our real quick. I was looking at our league, and if Julian loses, I'm pretty sure I'll move up to 4th. So, I mean,
there you go.
Not that I'll get a bye or anything, but, you know, just
won't have to play the hardest team.
Yeah. All right, but back to this game. Yeah, the Christian Watson looked good.
Green Bay's defense stepped up. I mean, other than Justin Fields running the ball and having a couple big plays, they kind of Jair Alexander made a big play to seal the deal, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was a good win for the Packers. They're still technically in it. They're still in the hunt for playoffs. So we'll see what happens with them. But let's move on to the next game. This game is the first game where me and Dane differed. I took the Jaguars, unfortunately, and Dane took the Lions, and the Lions destroyed the Jaguars.
Shit out of the Jags, 40-14.
Real quick, they had 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game, and then they had the Lions. They had 2, 1, 2. Okay,
yeah,
there's 4 touchdowns.
They had 4 touchdowns offensively. So DeAndre Swift had 1, Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2.
And then 5 freaking field goals, dude. Oh my gosh. I was really counting on the Jaguars defense stepping up, but they just let me down and they let that team down. And Detroit's defense stepped up and they kind of shut out the Jags. Geez, man. I mean, I'm glad that if I was picking this game with my heart, I would have picked the Lions. I just thought the Jags could have. I thought they made a step in the right direction. That's why I picked them. But
yeah, the main reason I went with the Lions is because they almost had a 4-game winning streak and almost beat the Buffalo Bills. Even though they lost valiantly. They had a great game plan. They've been playing hard as hell. Dan Campbell has his team playing physical. Jared Goff had a good day. I mean, they got the rushing attack going, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, dude, he's turning into a bright young star. I mean, this man makes plays left and right, and I just love the grit that this team has. They're making plays wherever they need to. Like you already said, the defense stepped up when they needed to. I'd say Trevor Lawrence had a decent day. It wasn't anything spectacular. He made a couple good throws. Christian Kirk had a good game, 104 yards. Travis Etienne looked decent, but they pretty much got shut. They did get shut out in the fourth quarter. I mean, Detroit's defense really stepped it up and just kept the foot on the gas pedal. So I like what I'm seeing from Detroit. I hope they can continue. I'm actually rooting for Detroit this year. I would love to see them just keep playing upset. Possibly, if they won out, they could make it to the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. They're just as much as in the hunt as Green Bay is. And there's at times this season where Detroit looks like the better team. And
absolutely.
I think, and I'm being maybe I'm going out on a whim here, but I think next year if they get some solid defensive players to boost that defense up, I think they're going to be a scary, dangerous team. Because that offense is fast and flies and. Dude,
they're physical. And I love it.
And they're getting what's his name, Jameson Williams. So he played a little bit. I don't think what was his stat line. Probably nothing crazy.
Did he play today?
Yeah, he did. But he got 1 target, but no catches or anything. So he's going to be on a snap count coming off that injury. But I mean, as soon as he gets acclimated in the offense, I mean, they got Chark, they got Amon-Ra, they got Jameson Williams when he's healthy. DeAndre Swift. Those are all fast as fuck players.
Yeah, and their offensive line is good too. Their offensive line's playing really well.
Mm-hmm. And Jared Goff, for how much shit I talk about him, I don't think he's the best quarterback, but he's not Matt Ryan. He's not Carson Wentz. I think he's definitely middle of the pack. And he has an arm. He was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. So I think. I just farted. Just give it a year, maybe 2. I'm gonna shoot my shot right now. Lions make playoffs next year.
That's a bold prediction. I like it. I can see it. I think that if this team continues to build off of Dan Campbell's scheme, sky's the limit. I mean, I think a lot of it's going to come down to Jared Goff's play because when he has a bad game, they really kind of struggle. But he's been playing well recently. I
That's
think,
true.
like you said, if the defense steps up, they've been stepping up recently. So if they added just a couple more key pieces and players, I think this team will be scary next year for sure. But great win for the Lions, 40-14. So far, I have not picked a single game incorrectly as of yet.
Yep. Next game. This one was pretty boring in my opinion. But it was, the return of the one who shall not be spoken of. If you guys listen to the fantasy footballers,
Voldemort,
they call him Voldemort. But it was Deshaun Watson's return to Houston. Cleveland beat the Texans 27-14.
And this was special teams and defense, baby.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson definitely knocked some of the rust off. Like, he had a lot of rust built up. Dude. He did not look great at all.
Dude. Okay, so everything about Deshaun Watson looked rusty. His footwork, his arm mechanics.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was saying. His mechanics looked bad.
Dude, it looked like he's never played quarterback in his life. It was actually kind of like alarming. But maybe it's just the first game back. He'll get into the swing of things. He was like, before everything happened, I really liked Deshaun Watson. I really liked him as a quarterback. But I can't really say that anymore. But like Dane said,
you can like him as a quarterback, just maybe not as a human being because of the decisions he's made.
Yeah. But like Dane said, special teams and defense, man. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yep. I think that was the first time for them in however many years. It's been a number of years since they had a punt return.
Yeah, you got a punt return. There's a couple scoop and scores for the Browns defense. I picked them up in fantasy, and that helped me project me to got me 30 points. I'll take it. But other than that, man, I really don't have much to say about this game.
The Texans are still in the dumpster. They're the worst team in the NFL right now. It's kind of unfortunate because I think that they have some key players. Dameon Pierce had a better game. He's been struggling recently, but not much to kind of go off of with Houston. They're going to have the number 1 pick, in my opinion. I don't think that it's even going to be close. So
real quick, Nick Chubb did have a good game. He just didn't get a touchdown, but he had 17 for 80. Oh, and Kareem Hunt was finally used. Utilized more. 9 for 56 and 2 for 18. So receiving. So that's way better than previous games. So maybe
exactly.
Maybe a little too late for your fantasy team, Dane. But
it is too late. I am no longer in the playoff picture. At least I don't have to worry about fantasy. I'm going to be real with everyone. Today was one of the worst football days in my life. Jake knocked me out of playoffs in fantasy, so I'm out. The Chargers broke my heart because they're a piece of shit organization and poorly coached.
At least we picked that game correctly, though.
We did pick that game correctly, but broke my heart. And then I lost in my Pick'ems league because of the Chiefs game. So lost money on that. Chargers broke my heart, and I got knocked out of fantasy all in the same day. Love it.
Hey, you gotta love football, baby. If you didn't, we wouldn't be. If you didn't, why do you have a football podcast?
Because it's my fucking blood. I bleed football. And actually watching Blue Mountain State again recently because it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, real quick. Sorry, guys, but I was just scrolling around on YouTube. And you remember the show Deadliest Warrior?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, okay, so I found this channel where this guy just watches a show and then he just makes fun of it. Bro, this shit had me dying. He did Deadliest Warrior, and it was just one of the funniest things I've seen. But I'll have to send you the link. But sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Let's move on to the next game. This next game was actually
a good one. This was a good one for sure.
Yeah, we picked this one correct. We both did. We had the Minnesota Vikings beating the New York Jets 27-22. And like I said earlier, defense.
Yep.
Minnesota's defense stepped the F up, man.
Especially in the fourth quarter, securing that last minute interception to just seal the deal. I mean, Mike White looked good other than the 2 interceptions that he had. I think one of them wasn't technically his fault, but I mean, New York hung in there. I mean, they were kind of getting beat bad in the first half, but then they started coming back. They started making plays in the third and in the fourth quarter, but then Minnesota just sealed the deal. I loved what I saw from Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had a good day. Corey Davis had a good game. I thought he was going to win the game for them when he had that remarkable catch, but
holy crap. Garrett Wilson had 162 yards receiving.
Yeah, dude, he went off. He went off.
Jeez Louise. All right, you know what? I mean, I was going to say this anyways, but even though they lost, Mike White is the future. Zach Wilson has showed you has given you a year and a half to showcase his talents, and it ain't it. So you know what? Stick with Mike White. Good job, New York. But back to this game. Vikings look good. Justin Jefferson, disgustingly good.
Jefferson things. Yeah. Dalvin Cook had a really good game.
Yep. Kirk Cousins looked good. He had a good game.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it doesn't necessarily show on the stat line, but the way that he played and managed the game. I mean, this was the upper echelon of game manager performance. He made big time throws when he needed to, protected the ball, didn't put it in harm's way. And Minnesota, dude, I mean, they're 10-2. I really like what I'm seeing from this coaching staff. It's their first year, and they're doing well, man. Minnesota, they're so used to being like the Chargers and losing the close games and blowing leads, but they're not doing it this year. So they're a team to watch out for. I want to see it in playoffs because regular season's one thing, postseason's a completely different ballgame. But, this was a good win for Minnesota, and this was a good test for Mike White for New York. And I think that he showcased enough to give me confidence in him moving forward. Granted, he did turn the ball over, but he threw for 369 yards, man. And, him and Garrett Wilson have good rapport. I love that connection.
I think it was just mainly Minnesota's defense stepping up. They had 4 red zone stops, or four stops where it ended in field goals. And
New York was moving the ball just fine, but their red zone offense definitely got halted, and that's a testament to how well the Minnesota Vikings defense played in the red zone. So bend don't break, good game for them. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I really do want to see this team in playoffs because the Vikings have had seasons where it's Super Bowl season and then choke. So let's wait till playoffs before we crown these fools. But let's move on to the next game. Okay,
technically the first game that I have gotten wrong.
Yeah, and that's because it was a stupid tie. We had the Commanders and the New York Giants tying 20-20 apiece, and this was actually a pretty fun game watching it.
This game went back and forth, which was nice.
It went back and forth. Both the quarterbacks looked decent. I really liked it. Excuse me. I really like Taylor Heineke. He's probably said this before, and I'm probably just pulling this out of a back memory of my brain. But he wears number 4. He reminds me of Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger, man. He's a tough SOB. He's gonna do whatever he can to win the game. He doesn't look for glory. He just wants to win. I like him. Terry McLaurin, awesome. Antonio Gibson.
Curtis Samuel had a decent game in the receiving game as well, and he also rushed pretty well, especially near the end of the game.
And welcome back, Jahan Dotson. He scored the game-tying touchdown to send it to overtime.
Yep, you scored that on my bench too. Good for you.
You wouldn't have won anyways, Dan.
No, I know.
But on the New York side of the ball, I mean, Daniel Jones looks so good this year. I mean, let me say, he looks so much better than previous years. And then Saquon, bro. Saquon's he's him, dude. I love that. I love Saquon Barkley, man. He's a beast.
Yeah, and Darius Slayton, he had a good game as well, 6 for 90. Daniel Jones rushed for 71 yards himself. And both defenses stepped up when they needed to. They both made big time plays. This was a fun game to watch. It went to overtime, and unfortunately, it ended in a tie because of a missed field goal. It could have ended in a win, but field goals kind of shot everyone in the foot. So
I will say this tie is going to be so interesting at the end of the season.
Yeah, because there's 4 teams who have tied now.
Well, not even I'm saying for the NFC playoff picture.
Right.
Because the Commanders are in playoffs currently. The Giants are in playoffs currently. But and the Seahawks are in one of these teams is out. I don't know. I'd have to look at it, but it's just going to be very interesting, and it's going to go back to where the NFC East always comes down to the final game of the season, which is going to be awesome, which I love and miss. So, I wish that, the Commanders could have squeaked out a win, but you know what? And I'm not going to knock us down for not picking this. I'm going to say this one just goes away, brush it under the rug.
Yep. But, fun game. Excited for both these teams. It's not technically a loss, so good for both these teams. Unfortunately, it did not end with a win. Let's move on to the next game. This game got ugly pretty quickly in the second half, or pretty much in the second quarter. Tennessee played in Philly against the Eagles, and the Eagles steamrolled them. 35-10.
Did
I pick the Eagles?
Yeah, so Dane picked the Eagles. I picked the Titans, hoping for an upset. And at this point, not going to happen. I mean, maybe the Eagles lose one more game. The Eagles are legit, man. They are good. They're
bring
good.
Your confidence back up in them, because I know that you were kind of wavering in your confidence with them because of their offensive and kind of defensive performance. Because for me, this just kind of made me believe in them a little bit more again, because they handled the Titans. Jalen Hurts looked great today. The passing attack was there. They didn't even get that much going. They stopped Derrick Henry. This defense stepped up. I thought the Eagles just had a great game plan for Tennessee today.
Yeah, I mean, 2 receivers had over 100 yards receiving. And
one of them was on your fantasy team, by the way.
Yeah. Who scored a touchdown as well. No, the Eagles, they beat a good team. They beat the Titans, and I was moving higher on the Titans. They lost 2 in a row now, though, so maybe they're gonna fall a little bit. I still think the Titans have a good defense. They're a good team. They're just so one-dimensional. They are so one-dimensional, and look what happened. You stop Derrick Henry, you stop that team. So yeah, this one got ugly. And I think, I just think the Eagles are all around complete.
I mean, the Eagles are 11-1. They're a legit Super Bowl contender this year. Jalen Hurts, man, 380 through the air and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He balled the F out today.
Yeah, and they can throw it. They can run it with the quarterback. They can run it with the running back, and they have good defense. And they're healthy. I think they got to be one of the healthiest teams in the NFL.
Plus, they have the best offensive line. Their offensive line just halters anyone trying to sack Jalen Hurts. And even if they did get through, Jalen Hurts can just scramble. So, Philly is a tough team, dude. They're a tough team. And I feel bad for Tennessee. They finally kind of got Treylon Burks going. He had a couple good games in a row, catches an amazing touchdown, and then gets a concussion. It's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But, Tennessee, not the best performance offensively, not the best performance defensively by any means. I mean, they had a couple broken coverage plays where A.J. Brown, there was one where he just, he caught an amazing pass, ruled out of bounds, and then he catches another pass completely wide open. Not a defender in sight. So, Tennessee, kind of on a cold streak right now. We'll see if they can get going again. I have faith in this team. I think that they're easily the best team in their division. So I think they'll be fine, but they got to get it going again.
100%. Well, no. The Jaguars are just so hot and cold. Yeah. When they lose, they lose. But when they win, they win. Smart words. You heard it here first, folks. All right, this next game was pretty surprising. Yeah, it was surprising, and it just goes. This just shows why I've been hesitant on the Seahawks the last couple games. But they won. So Seahawks beat the Los Angeles Rams 27-23. The John Wolford led Rams 27-23. Where do I start with this, man?
Cam Akers, 2 touchdowns, 60 yards.
Yeah.
Where has this been? They finally got the running game going. I mean, kind of surprising, especially because Seattle had been doing a lot better against the run. But, I guess as of lately, they've kind of struggled. But, yeah, the Rams finally got the running attack going. Tutu Atwell had a great game. He had an impressive catch and a good run. John Wolford had a couple of good throws, scrambled a little bit here and there, had 2 costly interceptions. But I think this game was, I don't know, man. I did not expect it to be this close. And Geno Smith played well. 3 touchdowns, 367 through the air, 1 interception. But I think...
And a fumble.
And a fumble. So, yeah, I think this is like a story of defense. The Rams defense stepped up when they needed to, but they couldn't pull it through. And Seattle had a good drive at the end to seal the deal. DK Metcalf had a good game. Tyler Lockett, both of them had – Tyler Lockett had 128 yards. DK Metcalf had 127. They got things going through the air.
Tyler Lockett's a beast.
Yeah. And he actually ran after catching the ball. Didn't go down immediately on all of them. It's kind of his thing. But, he made plays after the catch. So I like Seattle. I think that this kind of comes down to the fact that it was a divisional game. That's why it was a little bit closer, because they kind of know how to play one another. But, I still think that Seattle needs to get things kind of going again, because they were piping hot near the beginning of the season. So we'll see if they can get back there.
Yeah. Yeah. Still, I mean, it was a divisional game, so I'll give them that. But, way to squeak out a win, Seattle. All right, this next game. Fucking A, man. San Francisco destroys the Miami Dolphins. 33-17. And you know what?
Out Jimmy G.
Yeah. So Jimmy G went down in like the first quarter of the game.
I think it was the first drive of the game.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, first drive of the game. And Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, comes in and he plays good, man. He played, honestly, I love Jimmy G. There's times where he kind of pisses me off, but he played just like Jimmy G. Like, he came in there and played exactly like him, and he looked like he'd been there before. So good for Brock Purdy. Congratulations on your first win. But this defense, man, god damn, dude.
This defense sucks. They allowed second half points. What happened?
Oh,
no, this defense was amazing. They made Tua look like how we kind of thought he looked the previous years, why we had doubts. Tua did not look that good today. I mean, he had 295 yards, but one of those plays was a 10-yard pass that went for 75 yards on the very first play of the game, because Trent Sherfield had an amazing catch and run. But, Tua was off target a lot this game. He looked inaccurate. He had 2 costly interceptions. This San Francisco defense ate him alive. Nick Bosa had a hell of a game. Fred Warner had a hell of a game.
3 sacks.
Yeah.
For the league lead. Defensive player of the year, anyone? Defensive player of the year? Hey, man. If he's not talked about, at least, come on. You got to at least talk about him.
He's definitely in the conversation, without a doubt. I mean, Nick Bosa is just a different breed. This defense is just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. And so the 2 broken plays where Tua did score, it was just 2 plays. The first play of the game, and then the Tyreek Hill where he just got open. I mean, that's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. You can only contain that dude for so long. But other than that, they didn't do anything on the ground. And then, like you said, Tua looked bad. And then the 49ers just did everything right. They did everything good in this game. Brock Purdy came in, stepped up. Christian McCaffrey looked good. I think he scored. Yeah, he got a receiving touchdown. Jordan Mason came in and rushed like a champion. Deebo Samuel stepped up. Brandon Ayuk had a couple good catches. It was just a good game. I mean, it is unfortunate that Jimmy is out for the season. I feel for the guy. It sucks. But you know what? The 49ers will rally around Brock Purdy, and they'll be fine.
If you saw Trent Williams' reaction to Brock Purdy having a couple of touchdowns, he was excited for the young man. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, and he comes out and balls out, man. He does exactly what he needed to. He had one bad interception, but he looked good, man. He looked like he could command the offense. He made plays when he needed to, and he stepped up in the pocket and made some good throws, man. I mean, there was that one to George Kittle pressure right in his face, and he threw a dime. You know, he made plays. We'll see if he can keep it going. There was one play that kind of made me a little nervous about his decision-making or his pocket presence, where he kind of rolled right into the pressure of Melvin Ingram. But other than that, I think he did well, especially for his first game in the NFL. Like, that's hard to do.
And last thing I'll say about the 49ers is they never relied on Jimmy Garoppolo to win them games anyways. So what makes anybody think we're going to have to rely on Brock Purdy to win games? It's going to be defense. It's going to be running, getting the ball into our playmakers. That's all. That's the whole team. They'll be fine.
This defense can take you to the Super Bowl without a doubt.
Oh, and so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, when's the last time there was like a defensive team that won the Super Bowl? And it was the Denver Broncos when Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl. That defense carried that team, and it's possible. It hasn't happened in a couple of years, and people forget, but it can. The way they're playing, and now they have extra motivation, and they're getting healthier. Like, I'm not worried about them, but it was a great win. I'm very happy that they beat the Dolphins. Dolphins fans were talking shit all over the place, and they got spanked.
And we both predicted that game correctly.
Yes, we did. We both predicted the last two, Seattle and 49ers. This next game...
Oh, yeah, and I got the Eagles one. But, yes, let's go on to the next game. This is the only game technically that I got wrong. I mean, we can count the tie, but, yeah, you know, this is 3 games in a row the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs. Are the Bengals the Chiefs' kryptonite?
I did not know that. I did not know Joe Burrow was 3 in a row. That's crazy.
They might be the Chiefs' kryptonite. And I mean, Joe Burrow, dude, he looks amazing, man. I mean, 286-2. Samaje P. Ryan had a great game, sealed the deal for them in the fourth quarter, rushed for the first down. Jamar Chase had a great game. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, everyone stepped up. The defense looked great. They were getting after Mahomes, and, you know, that defensive takeaway from Travis Kelce was huge. Travis Kelce had a good catch and run, and then he stripped it right from him. Kind of just stole all the momentum away from the Chiefs, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just both these teams played good. It was
absolutely.
This is like one of those. It's like when the Chiefs and the Bills play. It's whoever gets the last play or whoever gets the last turnover. It's gonna be like, you know, it's a back and forth affair. And I put the Bengals right up there with the Bills and the Chiefs. They're elite. They were in the Super Bowl for a reason. And I really like Joe Burrow. I really like his receiving core. You know, they didn't even have Joe Mixon in this game, I believe, right? Did they have Joe Mixon?
They do not believe so. I think it was all Samaje P. Ryan.
Yeah, so Samaje P. Ryan stepped up. You know, Joe Mixon's going to come back healthy, hopefully. He is dealing with a concussion, so, you know, cross your fingers that he comes back healthy. But, you know, the Bengals are legit, man. I like the Bengals.
I do too. I mean, they're 8-4. They're going to win the division. I think that they can kind of take the lead now, especially with Lamar out. I think that the Ravens are going to struggle a little bit. Not saying that they're not going to win more games and make playoffs. I think they still will. And also, it just depends on how long Lamar Jackson's out. But even with him, you know, that offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders. Whereas the Bengals, they're on a hot streak, man. The Bengals are looking good. They are they're right back in the thick of things. They had a slow start this year, kind of that, little hangover from the Super Bowl, but they got it going. They look good. And with Jamar Chase back out there, this offense is scary.
Yep. And that's 2 really good wins in a row for the Bengals. So good job, Cincinnati. Next game. We predicted this one. The Raiders beat the Chargers 27-20. And
the only positive I have about the Chargers this week is Justin Herbert. I mean,
yeah, he's a monster.
That one throw to Keenan Allen was absolutely insane, and that was the only touchdown that he threw today. I mean, they could not do anything offensively. They were without their right tackle. They were out without their left tackle. They were without their center. And they lost their right guard this game. This offensive line got demolished, and there was absolutely no game plan, no scheme from the offensive coach, offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. I'm done with you. I'm done with this coaching staff, to be honest. It's only year 2. I know they're probably going to bring Staley back, but I just don't see a future with them. I don't see them leading this team to a Super Bowl. I feel like the defense is what it is. The defense is bad. I mean, they got torched. They didn't get torched on the ground like they usually do. I mean, they still got run on, but they got demolished through the
air. Rewind, pause. They didn't get torched on the ground. This man, Josh Jacobs, rushed for 144 yards. That is torched.
No. No, torched is what they usually do, which is like over 200 yards a game. That's why I said they still got run all over. They didn't get torched.
Bro, for anything fans, over 100 yards.
No. Listen. As a Chargers fan, I guarantee all Chargers fans will be like, no. This was much better than what we're used to. Much better than what we're used to. We're used to giving up 200 yards a game. I mean, they're dead last in stopping the run, but they gave up 177 yards to Davante Adams. Davante Adams he just did unholy things to this secondary. And one of them, Asante Samuel Jr., was in perfect position, almost made a play on the ball, and Davante Adams makes a one-handed catch in the end zone, bobbled it right to him. I mean, this Chargers team is bad. I mean, they're beat up, poorly coached. I hope they lose out. I hate to be negative. I want a higher draft pick at this point. I hope that we fire our coaching staff. I hope that we get out coupon Tom Telesco. I think we need a new general manager. I think this team needs to start over. I know they got a brand new coaching staff just a year ago, but this isn't it. They don't have the experience. They don't have the grit. I'm done.
Right on. I will say this. It's a shame that the Raiders had such a slow start because I think they're the second best team in the AFC West.
Agreed.
And I like the Chargers. Well, I want to like the Chargers, but they're just too banged up. And I love Justin Herbert. I just don't know if he's the type of quarterback who can take the game into his hands yet.
I think he is. I mean, do you remember the Raiders-Chargers game last year? Down 14 points, last game of the season, 5 minutes left, and ties
more consistency? I don't know. He hasn't really done it this year to me.
I blame the coaching staff. I blame the play calling.
I mean, I guess you can blame the coaching staff, but it's just like, I mean,
then our wide receiving core, our offensive line, like what he was under pressure every time he dropped back. And they didn't even do any rollouts. They didn't do any play action. It was just a poor game plan. So it's like, trust me, I question Justin Herbert from time to time. I do, because he has games where he just does not look elite. But then you see plays where he throws that dime, 45-yard to Keenan Allen, perfect position, and you realize he can make plays. And like he did last year against the Raiders, every fourth down, he threw a 25-yarder on a fucking rope to Josh Palmer. He can take the game in his hands if he has a good coordinator to give him good play calls. I don't know, man. I blame the coaching staff mostly.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see what happens with him. But, the Raiders and the Chargers are in playoff hunt right now.
They're right behind the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with that last seed, because I mean, it's you guys, the Raiders, the Patriots, the Jets.
Jets.
The Raiders could easily, I mean, not easily. They're gonna have to go on like a 7-game win streak, 6-game win streak, or other teams lose out. But the way the Raiders are playing and some of these other teams, man, they could make it in the playoffs. The Raiders look good now. I wish they would have done it. I wish they would have done it, the beginning of the season. But
yeah, they're on a 3-game win streak now, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, good for the Raiders. Sorry about the Chargers. This next game, nothing really. Well, I guess we can talk about the first half. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely destroyed the Indianapolis Colts, 54-19.
They scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. 33 points in the fourth quarter. They had 5 takeaways.
Bruh.
They had pick sixes. They had fumble recoveries. 33. Have you ever seen a team score 33 points in the fourth quarter? I have never seen that in my life.
Honestly, I think they were kind of running up the score a little bit just to for practice because they knew they could. Dude, the Colts, this is why I've been saying, the Colts are the worst team in the NFL.
They're definitely not the worst team. That belongs to Houston, but I think they might be right there next to them.
Okay, they're the 3rd worst team in the NFL. No, they're the 4th worst team in the NFL. Right in front of the Rams, Broncos, and Texans. God damn, Matt Ryan looks bad. He threw 3 interceptions in a row.
Dude. It's funny because in the first half, he looked like he was going to make it a game. Alec Pierce made a couple good plays. Jonathan Taylor was running.
They were down 8. They were down 8.
I mean, in the first half, it was 13-21. Yeah. So, and then they scored in the third, and they scored 6, so they were down 2. And then they got blown out 33-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Man, I don't know where the Colts go from here. They have pieces on defense. I mean, it showed. They had pieces on defense. They were, giving it to the Cowboys. God damn, dude.
Dude, the amount of takeaways this defense had against the Colts was insane. It was just one after another. It was just, I was talking with Seth while we were watching the game. I was like, I kind of want Dallas to just get another takeaway just to see if they can score over 50 points. And they did. They scored 54 points in the NFL is not easy. They just destroyed the Colts in the fourth quarter. It was
I stopped watching, honestly. It was just, it was not worth my time.
And it's not like Dak had an amazing game. He did throw 3 touchdowns, but 170 yards, had the 1 interception. Tony Pollard got going. Zeke got going. But CeeDee Lamb, he got going. But this was the defense, man. The defense is what won them this game, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the second best defense. Sometimes, some weeks like this week, it looks like the best defense. The only thing I will say that's different is the 49ers actually played a good opponent. I don't think the Colts are good in any shape, way, or form, except for that defense. Their defense looks okay at times. Jeez, man.
Sorry, Colts fans. This was a brutal one.
Okay, so that's Sunday's game, Thursday through Sunday. But where do the Colts go from here? Do you think they learned their lesson and stop getting these tired, old, no offense, old quarterbacks that just don't have in it? I mean, dude, Matt Ryan looks cooked.
Yeah, I think that it might be time for them to address it in the draft. They're going to have a high enough draft pick if they stay in this spot where they could go after maybe a CJ Stroud. Or I don't think they're going to get Bryce Young. I think Houston's going to take him with the first overall pick. But they could get a CJ Stroud. Why am I blanking on his name? it'll come to me. But there's a couple other quarterbacks in the class that they could possibly take. I think they might need to, because ever since Phillip Rivers, it's been Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. They got Matt Ryan, and none of them have been the answer. I mean, at least Phillip Rivers took them to playoffs. They went 11-5 that year. So old man Rivers took them to the playoffs, and then they lost to the Chiefs, I believe. So it's not like it hasn't worked, but it hasn't worked the last 2 years. And not that Carson Wentz is an old quarterback, because he's still somewhat young. He's just not the answer. They're just
even with Phillip Rivers, he didn't look that great. They just had a good defense, good offensive line. He was okay. Like, he was definitely like a shell of his former self. Like,
Rivers was 37. I think it's the same age as Matt Ryan. So it's like, Rivers could still make plays, but he's underthrowing balls. He's not throwing like the deep gunslinger passes that he used to in San Diego. So
yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they got to stop fucking getting these old, tired quarterbacks and address it in the draft. So it's maybe they're just, hard headed and it takes a while, but watch them like trade for who's another old quarterback that's like about to change teams.
Watch them get like Tom Brady.
Dude, that
Tom Brady leaves and he just comes there and balls out. And they're like, we're going to keep doing this strategy. We're just going to go after the old ones.
Dude, that would be like blasphemous for Colts fans. Dude.
Yeah, Peyton Manning comes in there. He's like, get the fuck out of my building, Tom.
This is the house that I built.
Andrew Luck comes in with a knife. And he's like, you better get out or I'll stab you.
Bro, Andrew Luck really fucked up that franchise.
Yeah. I mean, good for Andrew Luck for taking care of his health. That's the most important thing. It's for our entertainment, but player health is like a huge thing. And unfortunately, fans, we don't get it because we got money on the line. We got fantasy on the line. We got our heart, soul, and tears on the line. But, bad loss for the Colts. Sorry, guys, your season is done for. You're cooked.
It's been done for.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and that was probably my worst take of preseason, thinking that they were going to win the division. But
I was right there with you, buddy.
Yeah. But hey, we were right about Philly. Jake and I both predicted Philly to win the division, and they are proving us right so far. They've only lost one game, so good on us for that.
We're right about Philly and the Vikings.
And the Vikings, yep. Yeah. We actually know what we're talking about some weeks.
Yeah.
I had one bad week. Everyone
and the 49ers.
Has a bad week. Yeah.
And the 49ers. They're winning the division right now. What else are we right about? Definitely. Tampa Bay is technically winning the division.
Anyway, guys, we could go on and on, but that's going to wrap up tonight's episode, guys.
Thank you for
tuning in. Let's
go on and on. Let's go on and on.
I don't have time. I got work in the morning.
F that, dude. Stay up.
Yeah, gaming. If you guys want to hit us up on Discord, we'll give you the frickin' access. You can play Warzone. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on our Instagram, Cannonballs with a Z _podcast. Jake, do you have anything to say before we get out of here?
No, it was actually kind of a lot of injuries. I think Kenneth Walker got injured. Another injury. I don't know if that's too serious. Hopefully it's not. But a lot of injuries this week, but hopefully your teams can, hopefully my team can, prosper through it. So, thanks for listening, guys. And as always, did you do the Instagram thing? Follow us on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
All right. And as always, peace.